Maria Garcia de Fleury. God chooses people in different ways and traces very personalized paths for them. He called Abraham at the age of 70 for the great mission of taking his people to the promised land. He called St. Teresa of the Child Jesus from a very young age. She entered the Carmel of Lisieux, and following the little way, she carried out her mission. St. Augustine, after a youth of sin at a mature age, was touched by the grace of God, converted, and quickly grew in wisdom and virtue. The case of Elizabeth Ann Seton was different. She was born on August 28, 1774, into a wealthy Anglican family in New York. She was orphaned by her mother when she was 3 years old. Her father remarried, and his new wife made her life very difficult. They sent her to live with an uncle. At 20, she married a merchant called William Seton. They had 5 children and lived in luxury. Elizabeth was very religious and charitable. She organized, together with other wealthy ladies, a charitable association within her Anglican church. In 1803, the Seton family business went bankrupt. William contracted tuberculosis. They went to Italy in search of remedies, but he died. Elizabeth was widowed at the age of 30. And the Felicis, some Italian friends, welcomed her into their home for a few days before she returned to New York. One Sunday, Mrs. Felici invited her to attend Mass. Upon entering the church, Elizabeth felt very touched. She saw many people praying the rosary full of devotion, and she followed the Mass. There, Elizabeth felt a change inside her. For technical reasons, the ship's departure to New York was delayed. The Felici took advantage of this time to instruct her in the faith, teaching her the doctrine of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Elizabeth was delighted with the idea of being able to meet our Lord Jesus Christ in the sacred species. Another day at Mass, at the time of the consecration, someone told her, "There is the real presence." Elizabeth bowed full of veneration and for the first time adored Jesus in the Eucharist. Abandoning Anglicanism meant renouncing her religion, but the Eucharistic Jesus attracted her to the Catholic Church. Thus began her great spiritual struggle. One day she came across the prayer of the Virgin called Remember. She began to invoke her, asking her to show her the path she should follow. Back in New York in 1805, despite the opposition of her family and friends, she became Catholic along with her 5 children. Her conversion transformed not only her life, but the history of Catholicism in the United States. In 1808, Elizabeth moved to Baltimore, where she founded both a school for education of girls and the first religious congregation in the United States, the Congregation of the Sisters of Charity of St. Joseph, according to the rule of the Daughters of the Charity of St. Vincent of Paul, dedicated to education. When she died on January 4, 1821, there were only 50 nuns scattered throughout schools and orphanages. A century and a half later, there were more than 80,000 nuns, since their congregation is based on the firm and immovable rock of the Eucharist. She was proclaimed a saint in 1975, and Elizabeth is the first North American elevated to the altars. Friends, God seeks his chosen ones in different ways. Elizabeth lived searching and bringing many people closer to God because she knew that with God we always win.